Welcome to the season opener of Sports 1000. So this is my video from qualifying in Croft. Long story short, so I put it on pole by nearly a second, but I got docked 5 places and 3 points on my license, which was completely deserved for a really stupid mistake on the opening lap, just trying to get some clear space. I sent it underneath Colin. And caught him, bent my top wishbone. So this lap is actually with a really badly bent top wishbone. I think I must have had like 5 degrees of camber on it or something. Steering wheel was all pissed and trying to pull to one side, but maybe that's the secret setup, because this was a really fast lap and it's in traffic as well. So yeah, I had to just go back and check that this was the right one, because it doesn't look like it would be with all the other cars in and around me. But yeah, this is a 1:23.8, so about a tenth and a half outside the lap record. So that completes that lap. So started race one, starting 6th. Just desperate to get a good start here. Obviously don't want to jump it and get even more penalties or anything. Won't be a good start to the season. But yeah, got a good start, managed to kind of line myself up for that gap. Straight into 3rd from 6th. Deciding discretion is the better part of Valour. You don't really want to be clouting that curve any more than that. I've done it before and broken a rod end in the wishbone, so I didn't really want to commit too hard to that. And even though it's a sprint race, it's 15 minutes to kind of work my way forward, so I didn't really want to put me and Noah in the car in front in any risk there. So just trying to get settled in. Obviously cold tyres. All we've done is kind of half a lap round to the start finish straight to start the race. So tyres are pretty much stone cold at this point, or just warming up at least. Really struggling around Sunny in all weekend. I just didn't feel like it's a very, very high speed to kind of mid to low speed braking points. So there's a lot of weight transfer, and I just didn't really feel like A, the rear wanted to follow the front, and B, the front wanted to hook up when I actually threw it into Sunny. And I made a few changes with varying degrees of success through Friday. Did find quite a lot of time on Friday versus kind of the lap times that I've done at Croft before. Learned quite a lot, to be honest, this weekend. So yeah, making it stick this time. Gained on Noah quite well there out of that last corner. So now trying to get on the back of Dan. So Croft is really quite a tricky circuit, but I really enjoy driving around it. You've got to really commit to the bumps and the curbs, not be too kind of scared of them. And every section is quite technical and carries speed onto the next section. So it really rewards consistent driving, especially over the course of a race. It's not about who's the fastest over a lap. It's about who can do the race the fastest. So just trying to, it actually looks like Dan's getting away from me a little bit, but I'm just trying to settle in. I think I had the tyre pressures quite low, just so they didn't overheat, because I did have a bit of that on Friday, where the car would go quite go quite slidey and greasy feeling towards the end of the session. So one area that I seem to have really improved on is the exits from this hairpin and also through the chicane. So not really gaining on Dan like I did on Noah. So again, that bump there is quite difficult. You don't want to take too much curve out of it, it'll fire you out to the outside. Just trying to get the car turned, get on the throttle and get sent down the back straight. And I lifted a little bit there because I think the car was unsettled over the curb. And as a result of that, I'm not gaining at all on Dan again until maybe just there at the end of the straight when the toe's coming into full effect. Again, bumps there. It's a difficult one. You know, I feel like I've gained a lot of stability out of the car this weekend, but it doesn't ride the bumps as well, and it's a bit of a catch-22 of what you think's faster and what you can deal with as a driver. But overall, I mean, I can't really complain with the balance too much. Just a few areas that are a bit trickier than others. Massive washout there because obviously Dan's taking the aero off the front of the car. So again, you know, it's a difficult circuit to pass on because it's quite tight and technical, and there are certain areas where maybe you'd like to get close but you can't because the car just doesn't stick when you're following another. So again, I'm not going to be able to do the same type of move that I did on Noah or on Dan here. It seems like he's got his exits nailed down a bit better. So you can see like the car bouncing a bit. I'm like, you know, trying to get it turned and settled so I can get fired down the straight. And this time we've got much better run, but Dan isn't daft enough to leave the door open. So I know I'm not going to go around the outside of him, but it's all about just compromising him. So there you go. He's not going to get a good exit from here. But again, I haven't really got anywhere to go either. I'm not daft enough to try and make a pass through the S's. And here again, much slower than if I was on my own. And this is where it all goes wrong. So I'd made my decision that I was going to try this, you know, the lap before basically. That's why I was so close. I was deep on the brakes, didn't want to hit Dan obviously. Already had a misdemeanor on Saturday morning, so I didn't want another one in the afternoon. So I was deep on the brakes, hit that bump on the entry, and it just fired the car around really quickly. And as you can see now, it's stalled, and for whatever reason, I'm struggling to get the thing going again. So I'm trying to reset the start procedure. I've popped the circuit breaker out for the water pump as well, just to try and get the thing so it's just not drawing as much current. Didn't have a single problem with it at all. Any other point in the weekend, it must have just put it into fault or something there. So you saw me just push that circuit breaker back in. So this is when we're back going again. Lost a lot of time there. I think I might have dropped to 14th or something. So this is really just a case of trying to get back on it. There's Richard Webb stuck in third gear, so that was an easy one. So yeah, just try and get on the back of these MKs, and it's damage limitation at this point. One of the important things is making sure that I get a good lap in, because we've got 3 races this weekend, and fastest lap from race 2 and fastest lap from race 1 and race 2 sets your qualifying time for, you know, the next race. It's only my cock up in qualifying actually only affected me for the first race, which was lucky really. So John's let me pass there, which is nice of him. I think that's John. So just getting back in touch with a bit of a pack now. There's some nice gaps between them all, at least, so it's not like I'm coming up against 3 cars that are all tripping over each other, so it makes it a lot easier to get by. So I think that's Mike and his MK Cup car, so that's another one. So I think I've regained 3 on that lap. yeah, just trying to get my head down now. Honestly, I thought I'd swam the channel in that first bit, kind of getting up to second. I mean, I'd have been quite happy with second, given what happened. But you've got to go for it. Um, quite rusty. I've done one track day, just done an open pit lane track day at Alton Park with a load of traffic, just to kind of give the car a shakedown up until this point. So, not well, and the Friday test day before this weekend. But yeah, not really. Not rusty in terms of driving the car, but race rusty for sure. So I've come up to Ian now, and don't want to put a move somewhere where it upsets his rhythm or anything, or surprises him, because the last thing I need is any more kind of carnage. My big mistake after qualifying meant that basically straight after qualifying, I spent half an hour getting bollocked, and rightly so, and then the other hour and a half repairing the car to kind of a half decent standard. Didn't really get a chance to align it for this race properly. So just trying to keep my nose clean now. Get up to the back of Naeem over this next lap. Loads of time to be made up in that first corner, but it can go wrong really quickly as well. If you outbrake yourself, you'll go into that gravel and either get stuck or have to kind of fire yourself through it, which I did once on Friday, just kind of pushing the limits a little bit, trying to find out what we get away with. And if you take the curb too tight on the inside, it can fire you. It can either fire you out or it can damage the car. A wishbone, a wheel, or whatever. So just coming up to Naeem now. Seems to have a bit of damage on his car from something. It's one of them corners where it kind of invites a lunge, Sonny, in. You've got to bear in mind that the person behind you might really not be expecting it. Sometimes that's a good thing, because it means you can catch him unawares, but if they're turning on you, it's bad news. So got Naeem. I don't really know where I am now, maybe 9th or something, 8th. I've got a bit of clear track ahead. So that's Dan Ashby in front, about 5 seconds behind me. It seems like every corner on Croft there's some sort of bump to upset the car. There's a bump on the entry into Tower, there's a bump through Tower, there's bumps on the way through Sunny. And yeah, I don't know if it was about 3 years ago now, Croft was resurfaced, and when we went to Croft after the resurface, I think it was quite clear that the track was faster, but all the old characterful bumps are still there. And yeah, a few years ago, like before the resurface, I think like the best kind of lap time that anyone could hope to get was like a low 125, where now we're knocked out. It was consistently in the low 24s and knocked out a few 23s this weekend, which was nice. So it's the fastest I've ever been around here. Yeah, quick, but making mistakes. But it's nice to be fast, because you can always knock the mistakes on the head and just kind of quantify and assess them and just go, right, I'm not going to do that again, that was fucking stupid. But when you're not fast, that's really difficult, because it scrambles your head a little bit, and then you start chasing your tail. Is it the driving, is it the car, is it both? So yeah, I've got past Dan there, and again, not really sure what position I'm in. But I've got another few cars coming up and a nice bit of a gap. So the last lap I did was a 1:24.25. Getting into the complex is one of those things where you feel like you could carry a bit more speed, but it's really easy to it can go wrong really quickly, even if you're just trying to carry like an extra mile an hour through there. What's interesting is like my kind of apex speeds and what have you are very consistent. So all I can take from that is it's probably about as I'm probably pushing the car as it is now, at least, as quick as it can go. I think Tom's gone off there, so that's another place. I don't know if he's broke down or something. So yeah, it's just all about damage limitation now, really. I'm coming up to catch John McGill and Charlie. Yeah, I'd really like to be attacking that a lot harder, and then driving the car around Sunny out a bit more, but yeah, just it seems to be quite a bad section for me. And that's the last lap board, so you would think it'd be easy to get past John considering how quickly I've just got up to the back of him, but it doesn't end up being the case. So obviously this is an area where I'm very fast, but I can't really run my own lines when I'm stuck right up behind someone. So good run there, and I'm getting a good toe off John's spire, and quite a lot of movement, to be honest. But yeah, I'm not going to go for a daft lunge. Realistically, you know, this is probably going to be a score that I'd be looking to drop anyway. You know, it's one thing doing as much damage limitation as you want, but I don't want like any more drama or damage to the car. So yeah, again, it's just not worth trying to stick it under there. Not entirely sure what happened to Charlie there. I think he was spewing coolant for most of the race. So that's that. That was 6th place in the end. So I ended up finishing exactly where I started. But importantly, I did a 1:23.76, which annoyingly is still a 10th outside the lap record. Which it would have been nice to go for, but didn't happen in that race. And Saturday was the faster day, really. Sunday was quite a lot warmer and greasier. Lots of fluid down and stuff through the weekend. The track generally gets worse, not better. So yeah, the good thing about that is now I'm starting race 2 on pole, but this is actually race 3 that I'm showing, because race 2 was quite boring. I just led from the start. There was a red flag in the middle and a restart, but there was no real action. So this is race 3 now. Crap start, Dan's mugged me there. But obviously I know I've got the pace, so I'll just get on the back of him and see what I can do. again, you know, there's no way I'm actually going for an overtake there, and I'm sure Dan knows it. It's more just letting him know that I'm there. And also, I don't like driving line of stern behind someone. I'd rather try and run a different line than run their line. Sometimes it's better being a little bit behind and having a run at someone as well, rather than kind of sitting right up their arse. So I'm just trying to shadow him and, you know, look, I'm to his right there, but then I've kind of dove down and made that stick. So the front end of the car was a lot better through the hairpin this year, the way I've got the car set up. And yeah, that's that really. So I think I've got a few more laps, or another lap to show after this, but basically nothing happens. I put a bit of a gap into Dan, and then he caught me back up as I was struggling. I made a few changes for this race just because me being me, I wanted to come away learning something, and what I learned was that the car was better before. So yeah, the pace wasn't as fast in this race, but I think part of that's down to the track not devolving, and yeah, the setup in the car wasn't quite as good as earlier in the weekend, but it was enough to kind of manage it. But any sort of mistake in Dan would have been all over me. I think I finished like 7/10 in the lead, and that was kind of concertina in all the way through the race, so it was good to have that kind of constant pressure, because I didn't have that in the second race. But yeah, that's it. I didn't see any point in showing any more of this really, because it's just me driving around on my own. Well, not on my own, but you can't see what's behind me. So maybe I need to invest in a rear camera or something to make it a bit more interesting.